I'm very happy to invite two speakers, Evgeniia Shmeleva and Svetlana Zhuchkova from the High School of Economics. The topic of their speech is the quality of higher education and its correlation with the level of code of conduct, of observing the code of conduct in the Russian higher schools. Let me share the screen just a second.
Today,
we're going to talk about our research, the two of us, but actually we're working as a team of four, together with our colleagues from the Sociology Center. And you can see the names of our co-authors on the first slide. I will start by saying that out there is research that finds correlation between dishonest behavior and plagiarism and certain institutional characteristics of universities. We know that at different universities, the level of violation of the code of conduct is different. A research I did in 2016 using the data of the All Russian Monitoring of the Quality of Education showed that the more professors and teachers at the university do also academic research, the less the degree of plagiarism among students. We also saw that the more selective the university, the stricter the rules, as in these universities, the funding is bigger. And also we saw the least plagiarism at the universities where the ratio of students and teachers is more favorable. I mean, there are fewer professors. There are more professors, in the staff. There is international research that documents the percentage, the correlation between the violation of code of conduct and plagiarism using different methods of detecting plagiarism. For example, there is an international company, Turnitin, which, like anti-plagiarism, is used to detect cases of plagiarism in students' works and in texts in general. This research is existent internationally, but normally it pursues the goal of analyzing the efficiency of implementing the program at the university level. So normally this research compares the percentage of plagiarism cases with the institutional policy and with the platforms as they are incorporated in the training process. Our goal was to evaluate the correlation between the amount of plagiarism in the text documented by anti-plagiarism and different characteristics of the Russian universities, namely the factors that are associated with the quality of education. And here we use the input-output model, which reflects their resources that universities has, the quality of students and professors, all the funding and other resources that are available, as well as other inputs that are used in the literature to analyze efficiency of educational institutions. So basically, these are the characteristics that reflect the efficiency of using resources taken into account the output of the university. Academic efficiency, academic output plays a very important role here. the citation, the number of academic papers, etc. Svetlana will talk more about the data we analyzed. We have a few presuppositions we leaned on. First of all, we thought that the scale of plagiarism that reflects lower quality of the university is different.
Цитирований, то есть процент плагиата выше в вузах, в которых меньше объем финансирования, меньше
and is correlated with the funding. So there is more plagiarism at the universities that have less funding,
и в то же время мы ожидали вариацию
the universities that are easier to get into. And we know from previous research that the percentage of plagiarism is significantly lower for the universities which are creative, because
форм контроля, в которых
in general they use
необходима проверка оригинальности.
Fewer forms of control.
Во-вторых, мы ориентировались на предположение, что процент плагиата ниже в вузах с более высокими показателями.
We also started with the presupposition
в тех вузах, которые характеризуются более высоким качеством научной производительности.
The universities that have more academic proficiency show a lower percentage of plagiarism, as engagement in science is characterized by sharing the code of conduct, including integrity, honesty, which is manifested in the research that is made. And thirdly, we suggested an alternative hypothesis, which could also be tested. The efficiency of academic research can also could also be positively related to the percentage of plagiarism if the focus is on the amount, on the number of papers, not on the quality of the papers. It happens at some universities. Also, what matters here is the policy of the institution itself as per the teaching staff. Sometimes the teaching staff is encouraged to give a lot of classes and at the same time do a lot of research, which is really hard to combine.
И вот с этого слайда я приглашаю к...
And starting from this slide, I invite Svetlana now. She will talk more about the data we used. Evgeniia, thank you very much. Indeed, I will talk about the data and how we worked with it. We used two sources of data, the main ones. The first one was the data provided by anti-plagiarism. This is the result of the automated check of the works uploaded by the students of 916 universities during the summer set of exams in 2018. This is around 6 million papers that were uploaded. We had the data according to the university where the student studied, the percentage of plagiarism and the percentage of self-citation. That was the first source of data we had.
Ограничений предыдущих исследований, связанных с тем, что ранее использовались данные самоотчетов,
Earlier,
потому что в нашем случае это такие объективные,
many pieces of research was used only self-reports were used. For us, the data is much more objective. And the second source of data is the monitoring of the activity of the higher education organizations. This is a long-term project which has been going on since 2013, which has been launched by the Ministry of Education of the Russian Federation. Every year, universities in Russia publish reports on fulfilling certain criteria, some of the input criteria, the efficiency criteria, first of all, academic efficiency, and teaching efficiency criteria. We used the data for 2018.
Данные мониторинга подразумевают, что вузы отчитывались по состоянию за 2017 год.
The monitoring reports were published in 2018, but the report was made on 2018. That means that there is a bit of a time lag between the two inputs, the two sources of data. Here is some more detail about the institutional criteria that we focused on. As for the resources, the inputs, we analyzed here the funding, the average entrance score for the students that were enrolled, the overall number of people on the staff, and their degrees. As for the efficiency criteria, first of all, we were interested in the academic efficiency, as I said. So here we used the efficiency criteria for different databases, Web of Science, Scopus, and READS, the Russian index.
Цитирование этих публикаций и в целом объем исследовательской деятельности, проводимой в университете. И, наконец, некоторые такие формальные больше показатели.
And finally, more formal criteria that could also play a huge role. The profile, the area of studies. Evgeniia has already mentioned that the percentage of plagiarism can also correlate with different profiles, with different disciplines taught at the university, and the percentage of the students
которые из антиплагиата были представлены у нас, как я сказала, в сыром виде, как
take extramural courses.
Работ отдельных письменных.
What did we do with data? We aggregated the data of 2018 according to the universities. We found the median percentage of plagiarism for all the works that belong to a certain university. We introduced a threshold that we considered only the universities for which we had no less than 100 papers. As we aggregated this data, we united them with the other source of data, the monitoring of the university's efficiency, which I also spoke about. So finally, we analyzed the papers from 255 universities and institutes. They are all based in Russia and they all correspond to our criteria. This is a descriptive slide just for you to understand what we dealt with. Out of these 255 institutions, the median percentage of plagiarism was 34%, plus minus 9. The range was from 5% to 60%. And here on the low left-hand chart, you can see a huge variation in the data set. All kinds of data is represented, and it is the normal distribution.
Плюс-минус средний уровень плагиата наблюдается, и какие-то вот экстремальные кейсы с очень низким плагиатом, уровнем плагиата и очень высоким.
We can see some extreme cases with a very high level of plagiarism and a very low level of plagiarism.
Менее, точнее, информативные.
The other charts are less informative.
Вот этой автоматизированной этих текстов не очень подходят для какого-то анализа, поскольку видно, что они как раз
all other criteria from the automated check do not have the normal distribution. They don't have the variation, so we did not analyze them in our research.
Начну с того, как результаты простого анализа корреляции связаны.
In continuation, I wanted to share what correlation we saw in our analysis. Here you can see the correlation between
преподавателей и но тут именно студенческого контингента,
the
и мы видим
quality
над чертой это
of the
показатели,
students.
которые отрицательно связаны с масштабом плагиата.
And
То есть,
above the
чем
line, we
в
can see
университете
the
выражена образовательная деятельность, чем больше студентов из области
criteria that are
культурного искусства. Здесь
negatively
напомню,
correlated with the
что я
percentage
изначально
of
сказала, что в
plagiarism.
творческих
Here we
вузах
have
меньше процент плагиата. Чем
educational
выше баллы
activity, number of
бюджетников,
students
тем
from
выше
arts and
число
culture,
олимпиадников, тем
high
меньше процент
entrance
заимствований.
scores,
При этом, если мы
and
спускаемся
the number of
вниз,
students
мы
that
видим
got
те
in
показатели, которые позитивно
through
связаны,
an open
положительно
competition,
связаны с процентом плагиата, и видим,
through
что чем
skill
больше
academic
доля заочных
competition.
студентов,
As for the
чем
factors
больше
that are
доля
positively
заочных студентов, тем значительно
correlated with
повышается
the percentage of
процент
plagiarism
плагиата, то есть связь
is the
довольно
number of
выраженная.
extramural students.
И чем больше в абсолютных значениях количество
The
этих
number and the
заочных студентов, чем
share
больше
of
бакалавров
the
в вузе,
extramural
и чем
students,
больше студентов с
the
областей
number of
сельского
bachelor
хозяйства.
level
Для
students, and the
сельского
number of
хозяйства
students
из прошлых исследований было показано, что в них значительно более высокий уровень
that
академического
study
мошенничества, и с
agriculture.
точки
All
зрения
the previous
списывания
pieces
тоже.
of research showed that these students
Также
show
мы
the
наблюдаем
highest percentage
связь
of plagiarism.
с объемом
We
ресурсов,
have also
которые есть в
found
университете, и видим, что чем
correlation
большими
with
ресурсами
the amount
обладает
of
университет, тем
resources
ниже процент плагиата в нем. И если
that the
мы
university
рассмотрим,
has.
как
The more
связана
resources,
результативность
the less plagiarism.
университета, ключевой результативный такой показатель, научная
Academic
деятельность,
efficiency
то мы увидим,
is
что
also correlated
верхние
with
показатели
plagiarism.
позитивно связаны
The upper hand
точнее, позитивно связаны
criteria positively
чтобы не путаться, скажу, верхние
correlated
показатели
with
связаны с меньшим
plagiarism.
масштабом плагиата. И мы видим, что чем больше выражена научно-исследовательская
So
деятельность,
here we have
чем больше
academic research, the number of masters and postdoc students, the number of citations and scopus in the Web of Science.
Масштаб его. Однако, если мы
All
спускаемся
of these factors
то мы увидим, чем больше статей
influence
университета
fewer
публикуется
cases
в
of plagiarism.
цитирования
However,
и мы видим
the
довольно
more
выраженную связь
articles in
по
RINS in the
модулю,
Russian
если
Index of
сравнивать с
Science,
другими,
and the
то
bigger the
в
number of
таких вузах
articles as
больше
a
процент
whole,
плагиата.
the more
И
is the
чем
percentage of
больше
plagiarism at
статей, то
these
есть отражается такая
university.
гонка за публикациями в принципе. Здесь мы видим связь между
Here we see
процентом заимствований
a correlation
и
between the percentage
характеристиками преподавательского
of plagiarism
контингента. И видим здесь,
and the
что
characteristics
чем выше процент,
of the teaching staff.
чем выше заработная плата у
The higher
преподавательских
the salary
преподавателей, тем ниже процент
of the
плагиата.
teachers, the
чем
lower
при
the
этом
percentage of plagiarism
больше
is.
Формальных показателей научных достижений, связанных вот с
However, the
степенёмостью
formal
преподавателей,
criteria,
тем выше процент плагиата в университете.
the higher
И
the
ключевые
percentage
выводы
of
мы бы
plagiarism at the university.
сформулировали примерно
Here
так,
are
что
the key conclusions that we drew
меньший масштаб
from
плагиата
our
в вузе
research.
характерен для вузов с более низкими показателями
Less
студенческого контингента,
plagiarism
качества приема, с большей
is
долей заочного
connected
образования, с
to
большим
higher
количеством студентов
scores,
бакалавров.
to fewer students
Частично
that
мы
study as
наблюдаем связь
bachelors
между
and
ресурсностью вуза
extramurally.
и с
We
его
partially saw correlation between the
масштабом
resources,
плагиата в нем.
including
Мы видим, что
financial
чем выше
resources
доходы вуза,
that
тем
students had,
выше его
and the level
финансирование,
of
тем ниже
plagiarism.
процент плагиата.
The
Но
more
при этом
funding, the
бюджетные
less
доходы с этим не
plagiarism.
связаны, как мы проанализировали. И чем больше выражена в университете научно-исследовательская
At the same
активность,
time,
тем
we
в
could see
целом
that the
меньше
commercial
процент плагиата,
input,
однако имеет значение,
which is not
имеет
drawn
значение
from the
качество
state
этой работы, то
budget,
есть
does not
в
show
каких
the same
именно базах
correlation.
цитирования публикуются статьи, и в
The
каких
more
базах
academic
цитирования мы
efficiency
отслеживаем
at the university, the less
цитируемость.
plagiarism we see.
Мы также
However,
наблюдаем, что
it
включенность, то есть
it
это
depends on
продолжение вот
which
этого вывода, включенность
index we
международное
find the
научное
articles
сообщество, оно
in.
позитивно связано с
The higher the inclusion into the international
добросовестностью в университете.
academic
И
community,
напротив,
the
если
less
публикаций
plagiarism
больше
we see in the
размещается
papers.
в базе
However,
цитирования РИНС, тем мы
the
видим
bigger the
более
inclusion
высокие
into the
проценты
Russian science, I
плагиата
mean,
в
if the
работах.
articles
И
are featured
количество
only in the
статей
Russian
тоже
index,
положительно
the higher
связано с масштабом
the level
плагиата,
of
то есть что может
plagiarism.
отражать такой негативный эффект гонки за статьями в университетах. И последнее, мы наблюдаем, что процент плагиатов выше там, где у преподавателей более хорошие условия труда,
for articles has a negative influence on plagiarism. I mean, when the staff tries to write as many articles as possible, it creates a worse environment. The percentage of plagiarism is lower at the universities where the teaching staff gets higher salaries, where there are more elderly teachers, and the percentage of plagiarism is higher at the universities where there are more teachers that are younger and that have, the more of them have degrees. Most likely it is because they are pushed to perform, they are pushed to publish as many articles as possible. I will be happy to hear your questions. You are most welcome to ask them, and you're most welcome to contact me later if you have any further questions. Evgeniia, Svetlana, thank you very much for your report. The conclusions are indeed interesting. Have you already published your research? And if so, can we get the links? I'm sure that our audience would be very curious to find out the details.
Коллеги, прошу прощения, я вынуждена была пересесть, чтобы поближе.
Sorry, dear colleagues, I had to move to be closer to the electricity socket.
Мы просто анализируем данные, и
We have not published
текущий анализ, он пока только
on it yet. The current analysis is preliminary only.
Регрессионными.
We want to add
регрессионным анализом, в котором мы
regression analysis to our articles, because this will allow us to analyze the contribution of different characteristics.
На вот этот сюжет с вовлеченностью университетов в научно-исследовательскую деятельность.
I wanted to focus on the engagement into international academic community, and all the other characteristics will be used as control characteristics.
Скажите, пожалуйста, планируете ли вы провести
аналогичный анализ? Are you planning to conduct a similar analysis for other years, for other time periods, not just 2018?
Я отвечу, Светлана, если вдруг есть желание, то тоже присоединяйся.
Svetlana, you're also welcome to jump in.
Так что да, на самом деле, если мы
I would say that yes,
данные за несколько лет,
if we take data for
то мы здесь сможем уже другой
number of years
использовать, панельные данные, чуть
we will be able to use other types of analysis, including panel data, and our conclusions will be more convincing.
И то, и другое, они все друг на друга влияют.
Of course, all of these factors influence each other, and we can see the direction in which this causality works.
Если мы будем использовать несколько лет, но я думаю, что мы сначала как-то завершим эту работу, а потом, возможно, уже перейдем к анализу.
I think we will focus on the current data first, and then we will switch to panel data.
Вопросы от наших участников. Токешева Назгуль Мукатаевна. Вы сказали,
Takesheva Nazgul is asking a question online. You said that the level of plagiarism is correlated with the quality of education. Do you think that the high level of plagiarism is related to the level of corruption at the universities? It is very likely. Even theoretically, researchers very often connect academic misconduct and the level of corruption.
Друг с другом связаны, но и, в общем, ожидать этого вполне можно.
And it is to be expected.
Каких-то возможностей измерить на таком масштабе
достаточном в
разных университетах уровень вот этой коррупции. Опять же, было бы возможно, если бы мы снизились на уровень самоотчета студентов или
level of corruption. It would only be possible if you used self-reports.
Там распространены определенные практики коррупционные, например, покупка работ или покупка экзаменов или что-то в этом роде.
Sometimes students pay to pass the exams.
Но вопрос этот очень сенситивный, и можно ожидать, что в опросах, в опросах мы увидим очень
issue.
в общем, недооцененный масштаб
So we saw
распространенности
that
этих практик,
the
более такого точного способа измерения коррупции
the volume of these practices has not been analyzed yet thoroughly. Thank you very much, Evgeniia, for answering the question. Tatiana Roshkovskaya is asking the following question. Do you think that the lower percentage of plagiarism at the universities you saw are just simply correlated with the policies of the university? Some of the universities require the papers to have 75% of originality.
Да, мы думаем об этом тоже.
Yes, we are thinking about it too.
Не так давно собрали дополнительно данные о
not that long ago, we collected data on the regulation at the universities and institutions.
Допустимый процент заимствований в университетах. Мы проанализировали 250
We analyzed 250 universities that made it to our final analysis, the research that I talked about today.
Мы пока просто еще не сопоставили.
And by now we have not just compared this data.
Попробуем это сделать.
But soon we'll try to do it, and then we will see how the regulation is connected with the real percentage of plagiarism. Most likely correlation will be there, but we don't know how high it will be yet.
Ну, то есть у нас впереди еще эти выводы, да?
So we will see these conclusions.
упомянула, что данные были
Елена Markovskaya is asking a question.
Of
course, the data was anonymous, but
и рейтинга вуза по
have you analyzed the university ranking and the percentage of plagiarism in them?
Как бы мы знаем процент плагиатов.
Well, we know the percentage of plagiarism for every university which made it to our sample. This sample contains only 255 universities. In total, we have around 700 or 800 in Russia, so it's just a share
Не факт, что
of all the institutions.
часть тех, которые у нас в выборке, отражают, вот, в принципе, вот этот рейтинг в
Our sample is not correlated to the ranking that you mentioned.
В общем, я бы сказала так, что такую гипотезу проверить можно, но мы этим пока не занимались.
This hypothesis can be tested, but we haven't done it yet. Thank you very much.
Вопроса. Кедрова Галина Евгеньевна.
Galina Kedrova, the parameter of engagement in the international community, did you include the mobility of the students and teachers there? No, we haven't analyzed this parameter. I'm not sure if these parameters are included into the monitoring. I don't think it said anything about the mobility. But even if we had these numbers there, it is still quite rare, and it is existed only in a handful of universities, so I would say that variation would not be enough here. I would say that the academic mobility is not very widespread, and it is not that varied for different universities. Actually, it's really hard for me to answer here convincingly. I don't think that this criteria is published. We haven't even thought about it. That was just me thinking aloud.
Спасибо, коллеги. Заключительный вопрос.
Thank you. And one final question. Наталья Шелепина.
Вы проводили ваши исследования?
What project was your research incorporated in?
По сути, инициативный проект, потому что
it is our voluntary project. At some point,
я бы ответила так. Мы довольно давно сотрудничаем.
We've been collaborating for a long time with anti-plagiat company, and our collaboration consists of my work during webinars and conferences, and as a result of our collaboration, was born the idea to combine data from the universities, data from anti-plagiat. I think this is the first time ever that this is done, and we're just interested and we try to do this.
Евгения, Светлана, большое спасибо за
Evgeniia, Svetlana, thank you for this inspiring research and exciting presentation. From our side, we would be gladly happy to continue our collaboration. And